I've always been surrounded with shelves of books my entire life.
Nice. That's what I
So,
try to do at my place, because everybody is like, "Ek aur bana li," and I was like, "Yeah, it's just natural."
With us engineers, I think we do engineering and then we decide what to do.
It's-
We do it and then we
yeah.
decide, यार अच्छा अब ये कर लिया अब क्या करें?
Yes, that's how Indian engineers are at least. I don't know abroad, but यहाँ तो यही
यहाँ
है,
पे यही
यहाँ
है.
पे.
Basically जो coffee houses हैं, the entire point was to just sit and relax and gain knowledge from people, talk, book clubs and things like that. You have to talk to intellectuals, you get the idea behind it.
मौल्यार का क्या मतलब है? Everybody would love to know.
इसके 3-4 मीनिंग निकलते हैं. Maulyar is basically spring season in Gadwari, blossoming of flowers.
Right.
Secondly, it also signifies new beginning, fresh beginnings, and it was a fresh beginning for me.
Wow.
It was a really fresh
Makes
beginning for me. And the third thing, it also signifies healing.
Hello, Booknerds. Welcome to the Booknerds podcast. In a very special edition episode of the Booknerds podcast, we have with us a very new entrepreneur on the block, the new kid on the block.
You can say that.
Who has come up with this amazing book cafe in Dehradun and in the state of Uttarakhand. It's called Maulyar Book Cafe. The logo is right here. So we thought we should talk to her about her taste in books, as well as why this amazing place has come up. It's somewhat sort of first in Dehradun, because not many people have pulled off this format very well in the city. So first of all, congratulations.
Thank you so
Vidushi.
much.
So you have come up with a very book aesthetic cafe, and all of us are obsessed with Bookstagram and reading books, and how the entire landscape is changing. New entrepreneurs in the publishing and book space are coming up with new ideas, coming up with new experiences, and I'm glad that you have started this. Matlab better late than never. So because already the major cities have these places already in place and they are thriving, but somewhat we have kind of not done this in Dehradun, which is weird. So let's start with why did you start this, and what is your mission is a big word, but vision would be more appropriate. Where do you want to take this? Is it just a hobby for you, or is it a very serious business for you? So many questions in the first go. Tell us more.
So where should I start? I should start with my obsession with books.
Okay.
Why
That's
I
always
was,
a good start if you are on the Booknerds podcast.
my obsession with how I got into books. So we have been my father started his book distribution journey in the book business, basically in the book world, 35 years ago now.
Okay.
So we have been selling books to government colleges, higher education colleges, medical books, engineering books, basically all of their library setup. Textbooks, textbooks basically. और उनका library setup भी, साहित्यिक literature भी, and
Right.
everything else as well. The entire
So
library.
the curation aspect was there.
The curation aspect was always there,
Okay.
because you have to deal with publishers and you have to talk to. But the things is, I've always been surrounded with shelves of books my entire life.
Nice. That's what I
So-
try to do at my place, because everybody is like, "Ek aur bana li," and I was like, "Yeah, it's just natural, right?" There
उनको
were
नहीं
more
पता है कितनी कम पड़ती है. मेरे
Yes.
बेड के एक पोर्शन में उठाओगे तो
Yes.
किताबें भरी पड़ी है,
Tell
क्योंकि
us
घर
more
में.
about that, growing up around shelves.
So yeah, so he started that like he was very young when he got into that business. So I always grew up around books. पहले तो पिताजी की लॉ की किताबें हुआ करती थी, मोटी मोटी बड़ी बड़ी, जो बहुत पुरानी किताबें अभी भी उनके
But they
पास
look
हैं. They look really good and they are like बहुत ही क्लिष्ट, बहुत ही डिफिकल्ट हिंदी में लिखी होती थी वो. और जो है वो किताबें, I remember I never used to understand any of that shit. Anyways, I was very young to understand any of it. I'm still very, I don't think so I can understand
No.
them even now, because they are very, very technical.
This is a generational gap. Right?
But But the thing is ki I was really into, like, do you understand that those were like kind of a not a decoration in our house, they were kind of those appealing things in our house.
Aesthetics,
they are there and
Let's get
अच्छा
a photo.
इसको मतलब ये संभाल के रखनी है, बहुत important
Just
चीज है.
taking care.
Yeah. And then the books ka he started by a bookshop pehle, and in Uttarkashi, a small bookshop in Uttarkashi, and then he got into the book distribution business dheere dheere.
So when did he land up in Dehradun?
Dehradun
You can mention his name as well.
My father's name is Vidushi Bhatt, and we landed in Dehradun very late. Actually, मेरे 10th के बाद, I guess. Sorry, नहीं, मेरे 7th के बाद. मेरे 7th के बाद.
Okay, this is which year?
This is around, you might say, around 2005.
That's not too long ago.
But we have been 2002. We have been in Dehradun for past 16 to 17 years.
17 years. Okay.
17 years now. And बेसिक ऑफिस जो पिताजी का था वो जो है ऋषिकेश में था, तो देहरादून में तो बाद में. ऋषिकेश इज द मेन ऑफिस. सो बिन विद अराउंड विद बुक्स एंड जो होता है ना कि क्यूरियोसिटी,
द बिजनेस ऑफ इट आल्सो,
the business of it also. I've seen him work very hard with it, and how things are done, how to talk to publishers, exhibitions and things like that. I've been very much interested in it, but was not really that interested, because then I got into the technical aspect of things and technical background, engineering. I think
it's always there, na?
It's always there.
It's always there. Once you are around books growing up, or shelves, as you said, that it's always there. You may sort of ignore it for a bit, but it's always there somewhere.
Yeah. With us engineers, I think we do engineering and then we decide what to do.
Absolutely. That's
we do it and then we decide, यार अच्छा अब ये कर लिया, अब क्या करें?
Yes, that's how Indian engineers are, at least. I don't know abroad, but यहाँ पे यही है.
सबसे ज़्यादा जुगाड़ वाले हम लोग.
So you were talking about obsession, right? So growing up, what were the kind of books you were hanging around with, like, or picking up?
So I was really into comics when I was growing up. Was really into comics when I was growing up. There was चाचा चौधरी वगैरह, तो हाँ, चंपक आती थी, चाचा चौधरी आती थी, पिंकी used to come. I used to read those, like
Diamond and Raj comics was a kind of universe. Like most 90s kids and early 2000 kids, right?
So really got into Charles Dickens because projects बनते थे, तो they used to give us like ये पढ़ के ये वाला author पढ़ना है, you have to write a thing about Oliver Twist, you have to read it, you have to write something about Great Expectations.
And Ruskin Bond.
And Ruskin Bond to is like, that has to be there.
Cool. So typical Dehradun upbringing then, because you completed your school here?
I was in Uttarkashi till my 7th, and 8th के बाद में I came to Dehradun. So I think I have more memories in Uttarkashi, because childhood memories are there.
Obviously.
Right.
Which school here?
मैं सेंट जूट्स में थी 3 साल तक, and then 11, 12 St. Joseph's.
Okay.
St. Joseph's
So we are Josephites.
अच्छा.
That's common, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
My daughters are also Josephites.
अच्छा.
So that's a common thread. So this was not planned. I just came to know she's a Josephite. So although I was there for like all my years, but even if you come in 11th and 12th, we consider you as Josephite. Don't worry about it. It's fine. Anyways, let's not talk about St. Joseph's and Dehradun education. वो बाद में अलग podcast है वो. Okay, so this thing, all of a sudden I am on Instagram and I check out like this new book cafe. And I'm like, who's this person? Because honestly I didn't feel that someone will go to this extent of of this passion and kind of open this haven for book lovers. There is such a cozy setting. There are couches and bean bags, and I was like, this is lacking, right? This is lacking in Dehradun. So tell us about that, the inception.
Have you seen people generally, they go to cafes, they're sitting alone, they're carrying their own books, they're reading वहाँ पे peacefully, then they're going out. I've seen it so many times. And then I used to be like that. Even like when you want some peace and quiet and alone time, you just want to read something and you want to have a sip of coffee and everything like that. So I used to be like that. And धीरे धीरे with the advent of time, you can say, dheere dheere, a generational gap that happened. My brother is like 9 years younger than me. So 9 years
That's a
younger,
gap.
nine and a half years younger than me.
Okay.
Almost 10, you can
Okay.
say that. And
Gen Z, millennial or
Gen Z.
Gen Z
हाँ.
वाला फर्क है.
So the difference that came is now people are more into their phones, right? Even because मैं काम करती हूँ अब, जो है बहुत सारे काम फोन पे ही होते हैं और रहना पड़ता है फोन पे. But the idea of social media is that it does take a toll on your attention capacity.
It is intrusive.
It does take a toll on your attention capacity as well. If you don't like something, you can just scroll off it.
Right.
You don't have the patience to go through pages. Sometimes किताबों में क्या होता है ना, बहुत अच्छी किताबें होती हैं, आप पेज टर्न करते हैं, कभी कभी 50 पेज के बाद, 60 पेज के बाद आपको लगेगा नहीं यार ये किताब छोड़नी नहीं चाहिए, मुझे पढ़ते रहना चाहिए. They have that thing as well, right? Some people, some have a really fast pace, some are very slow paced, but then you have to dedicate yourself to the story.
Absolutely. I dislike people who just leave books like after 10 or 20 pages, because you don't know. There are some plots where it just kicks in after the second half.
After a while.
In the second half.
In the second half.
Or in the third quarter or fourth quarter sometimes. It becomes, the ending is so good.
Yeah.
So you're missing out on the ending, right? Sometimes it is a slow burn.
Yeah, some books are really, really a slow burn. So, and the entire point, it teaches you a lot of patience.
True.
It teaches you a lot of patience.
It is meditative also.
It is very meditative and it is very educative as well. आप घर पे बैठ के मतलब अगर आप कोई चीज़ देख रहे हो, if you're visualizing something, I am obsessed with TV series and things like that as well.
Who doesn't?
Who
but
doesn't?
There has to be a balance, right?
But even if you watch it and you are there, but the only sense that is involved there is this and this. But when you read something, then the imagination is your own. You're creating things.
Everything is activated.
Everything is activated.
All senses,
and it's amazing.
And in fact, the subconscious is activated even more.
Yeah.
Even more. So you don't know what's going to happen and where you are going to use that information.
Yeah. So किताबें तो फिर कुछ एंड ही नहीं है अगर आप उनके बारे में जाओ तो. we went to generally a coffee house ये start किया था फ्रांस वालों ने. हमारे यहाँ अंग्रेजों ने they used to have these coffee houses where they used to have their own newspapers and books and they just used to read and sip coffee and crib about Indians and things like that. But basically जो coffee houses हैं, the entire point is to gain knowledge. The entire point was to just sit and relax and gain knowledge from people, talk, book clubs and things like that. You have to talk to intellectuals, you get the idea behind it. क्योंकि हर चीज़ मैं नहीं मानती कि हर चीज़ आपको खुद से करने की ज़रूरत. कभी कभी आप बहुत सारी चीज़ें बहुत सारी और चीज़ों से सीख जाते हो. तो we went to Switzerland on a trip and there was this window cafe there. उनका ये concept था. There was a window cafe. So basically it was like a छोटा सा trolley type of a thing, and they had this window where you can just order food and they
like a mini food truck sort of thing.
But a mini food not even a mini food truck, like they can. It was portable, but it was like उनके घर के सामने उन्होंने window पे एक चीज़ create कर रखी है and it is portable like this. And 2 shelves हैं किताबों के and those 2 shelves were filled with books and people were coming there and they were reading and they were just sipping a cup of coffee. Although they have book cafes and libraries there as well, that's very separate. But that was very like उनका ऐसा था कि 2 shelves थे किताबों के, but people were very peacefully reading and they. स्विट्जरलैंड में वाइन बहुत चलती है सुबह शाम, तो they sipping wine. मतलब उनके यहाँ चलती है वाइन ना. Yeah. तो it was like very, and the scenery was also good and the ambience was also good. But वहाँ पे मतलब उस समय थोड़ा सा मुझे strike हुआ कि यार because we are into book business, maybe procuring books is not going to be that hard, which generally is. If you are starting something new, then procuring book and titles and what kind of books to keep, not having knowledge about books, not having knowledge about books, ये वाली चीज़ें आपके लिए हार्ड हो सकती हैं, बट इफ़ यू आर देयर एंड यू हैव somebody to guide you, my mom is in teaching, my dad has a book business as well, so if you have somebody to guide you, then it becomes a little bit easier. तो मेरे दिमाग में ये चीज़ थी कि करते हैं कुछ ऐसा, but then COVID happened, but उसके बाद I was like कि नहीं, we should try this because the space.
When did you get serious? Like अब तो मतलब करना ही है. What was that year or month?
It was, I guess, 2022 November.
Okay.
November में I was like कि let's build a
We have to
structure.
do
Let's plan this thing out. And December में I started with the entire planning and everything.
Awesome.
And I think January में I started deconstructing this space because this was entirely एक space खाली था. So what I did was I deconstructed this. This was entirely filled with shelves.
Okay.
Because this was their workspace, right? There was one space that was khali upar. So what I did was I deconstructed this space, shifted this office upar wale floor pe, because ground floor is much more easier, accessible,
absolutely.
and dur se dikhta bhi hai.
And for people who are maybe disabled or older people.
Yeah.
There are so many cases.
Yeah, there are so many.
Convenient.
It's more convenient anyways, and it's more accessible as well. So I deconstructed this entire space, and then I designed the entire space on my own, because I realized that because ये shelves 12-13 साल पुराने हैं. So what I wanted to do is when you deconstruct some place that somebody else has curated or created, उनकी इतनी मेहनत लगी है, तो आप हर चीज़ में तोड़-फोड़ नहीं कर सकते.
सही बात.
So you have to conserve the space as well. You have to conserve the ceiling. You have to conserve. So I conserved as much as I could.
Cool.
और दूसरी चीज़ ये है कि खुली जगह में चीज़ कंस्ट्रक्ट करना एक अलग चीज़ है. आप कुछ भी कर सकते हैं. जब आपके पास लिमिटेशंस होती हैं, वहाँ पे चीज़ें कंस्ट्रक्ट करना, इट्स चैलेंजिंग बट इट इज़ अमेजिंग. इट इज़ वेरी एक्साइटिंग एज वेल. मज़ा आता है कि आपके पास लिमिटेड स्कोप है, आपको यहाँ पे ऐसे सेट करना है, वहाँ पे ऐसे सेट करना है. तो it was really good experience for me. I started reading color theory. I started with everything.
Wow.
What to do, what not to do, how to design things.
Entire design project as well at the same time. Books cross design, that sort of project. So were you like, I'll do this just on my own, or you were looking at inspirations, and was it like that?
So I thought I would need like help from an interior designer or something like that, because people generally do. They don't build cafes like that because the spaces में होता है ऐसा. Sometimes it happens, right? But then I realized that for me, I'm going to preserve the space. Like I'm going to use my space कि मेरा space है, मुझे कितना deconstruct करना है, कितना नहीं. सामने वाले के लिए it's just a space. It can be a blank space for them. They can just be like, ये भी deconstruct करते हैं.
And then there is an emotional connect also. You understand the space better.
तो I realized कि यार नहीं, खुद करते हैं, खुद ही करते हैं. I was really, मतलब ऐसे interior में I was really into it when we did our house and everything, but was not really, मतलब इतना ज़्यादा intricacies नहीं पता थी जो अब पता चली when I constructed this space.
You learned on the job.
Yeah.
So now you are set to maybe, if this works well, and you can open multiple locations in the future.
Yeah. That's a plan.
Great. Awesome.
That's a plan.
Makes sense. And let's talk about curation, because what differentiates a book cafe or a bookstore is the curation, right? I mean, anybody can build these things. I mean, the physical manifestation, the bookshelves, people can do it. A lot of people can do it. But when it comes down to curation, that's where the differentiator is, right? So what is your differentiator? How do you want to kind of differentiate yourself?
So the entire point of starting it was to provide people with this space. Actually, first, I opened in Vasant Vihar. People told me कि आप राजपुर रोड पे क्यों नहीं खोलते?
That I'm happy about. That you didn't.
क्योंकि आप राजपुर रोड पे क्यों नहीं खोला? Because that is also like that is a cafe वाला space, right? But then I realized कि यार मैं जहाँ पे खोलना चाह रही हूँ, पहली चीज़ क्यूरेशन से ज़्यादा इम्पोर्टेंट चीज़ है आप नीश आइडेंटिफाई करते हो, आपको नीश आइडेंटिफाई करना है। तो बसंत विहार फर्स्ट थिंग फर्स्ट कैफेज नहीं है यहाँ पे आसपास। दूसरी चीज़ ये कि हाँ, दूसरी चीज़ ये है कि lot of retired bureaucrats, principals, army professionals, students are there. ठीक है, हाँ, UPS people are there, work from home people are there who just want a quiet place, want to sit and talk.
A lot of
work from home people are here after COVID. A lot of work from home people are here who just want a nice ambience change from their work wala ghar wala wo and everything. So I identified the niche first because उस सबसे पहले आपको ये देखना है कि आपको niche identify आप बना रहे हो, आपको customer मिलेगा या नहीं.
Who's the customer and who's going to show up?
Yeah. So I realized that this is a good place to start something because there are a lot of book lovers here. And there are a lot of book lovers here who want a space आराम से to chill, to sit peacefully, to just read and talk to their friends and things like that.
And for the longest time, people have wanted something like this, but they didn't have it.
हाँ.
Because the public libraries, I have visited all of them. They are like oriented towards preparation.
Yeah.
So that whole concept of libraries here is screwed up.
Yeah.
To put it mildly, people don't understand what's a library. They are like, अच्छा, वो preparation. They are ready to pay anything for that prep thing. That is fine. I agree with that. But a purely sort of book space where people are reading fiction, non-fiction, उसके साथ आप पढ़ सकते हो कुछ भी. But that has been missing for the longest time. I mean, for ages.
Because generally, actually, बचपन से हमें सिखाया जाता है ना, पढ़ाई का मतलब, if you're reading a book, then you have you might be preparing for some examination, right?
What's the culmination?
What's the culmination? What is that book going to give you? Result. Are you going to get something out of it? Are you going to get marks out of it or things like that?
Crack हुआ कि
नहीं हुआ कुछ. हाँ, that is how libraries are born. तो इसीलिए पहले मैंने नाम बुक कैफे रखा because library cafe would have made it more like कि हाँ.
Absolutely. If you mention library, gone. Because everybody who is pursuing UPSC or IIT or whatever, you name it, will show up. But अभी भी आएंगे.
People are, क्योंकि यहाँ पे पढ़ने का माहौल है, इंसान को शांति है, पढ़ सकता है और आ भी रहे हैं.
But your projection wasn't that, right?
My projection was basically कि आप आओ. मेरा projection तो ये था कि जितना ज़्यादा हम digital होते जा रहे हैं, आप थोड़ा सा digitization से हल्का सा एनालॉग की तरफ कदम बढ़ाएं. Gen Z population especially. I keep on telling my brother, भाई कुछ पढ़ ले, किताब भी देख लिया कर, कोई किताब तो देख लिया कर.
It has always been our philosophy also, although we try not to tell it to people in their faces because otherwise people get pissed off here. If you tell them like पढ़ लो तो they are like नहीं पढ़ता. So we have always kind of stayed away from that. We say you can try it if you want.
No, the entire point of decorating these books like that is कि कोई आएगा, देखेगा, शायद अच्छा लगे. There are mangas, there are comic books and everything is there. तो ऐसा नहीं है. और
and you have a very good collection of books from Uttarakhand and Hindi literature. So tell us about that.
उत्तराखंड और हिंदी लिटरेचर का मेरा ये था कि मैं जब भी, even when I went to Bangalore, I went to Delhi and I've been to these book readers cafe and things like that. I've been there and there are good cafes and everything, but generally इंसान हिंदी का collection curate ही नहीं करता है. English का collection पे ज़्यादा focus होता है, हिंदी का collection curate ही नहीं करता है.
Even if you go to like Bengaluru or go to a Champaka, the regional languages
the regional languages
are less represented. They are very good cafes, book cafes, and they have the vibe, everything is there. But this representation is lacking. I mean, please prove me wrong. If there is something like that, we would love to know in the comments. But generally speaking, it is lacking.
Generally speaking, it is lacking because मैं जितने में गई, हो सकता है कि किसी ने करा हो ऐसा regional languages में अपना, पर मैं जितने में गई और जितना मुझे समझ में आया, क्योंकि इससे पहले मैंने काफ़ी एक्सप्लोर करा कि कैफेज कहाँ है, क्या है, किस टाइप के हैं, क्या चलता है, और लेकिन उसके बाद मुझे ये हुआ, and because I started my journey from English only. I'm
Yeah.
ICC student,
Right.
ISC, English background and everything.
Right.
So we
Left
always
Hindi in 10th.
left Hindi in
If
10th.
I'm not wrong.
Yeah, left Hindi in
Like
10th.
most of us.
So the thing was ki I was really into reading English books, non-fiction, fiction. Was really into English writers. फिर धीरे धीरे I got interested in English writers. When you read English writers, you're more into European writers or American writers. Then I started reading Japanese, जैसे मुराकामी हो गया, बहुत ज़बरदस्त लिखता है. And Kafka on the Shore उनकी बहुत ज़बरदस्त है. Norwegian Woods उनकी बहुत अच्छी. Men Without Women is also really good. Anthology stories. A little depressing, but really good writing. Really good writing. But the thing is कि जब आप थोड़ा सा आप और writers को भी पढ़ते हो, French, Italian writers, you start reading these writers, you start reading Asian writers, there's Vietnamese writers, you start reading them and then you realize कि यार आप हिंदी writers को क्यों छोड़ रहे हो?
Because Murakami wouldn't have existed if he didn't write in Japanese. Right?
Yeah.
He's regional.
हाँ.
So why not from here?
आप हम लोगों के इतने अच्छे writers आप क्यों छोड़ रहे हो? मतलब आप कुछ मत पढ़ो, आप प्रेमचंद पढ़ लो. मतलब जितना
There's some really good unfound authors. Uttarakhand authors. I know so many, like Pani Joshi. She's no more, but I had the chance of talking to her, interviewing her. She's just brilliant, amazing. Leeladhar Jagudi ji writes amazing. So many names, right? Dabral ji writes about Garhwal ki history, Tiri ki history. He has written the entire history of Garhwal. He has like 9. He has 9 volumes of मतलब पूरा history का. Writes amazing things. And there are a lot of local writers, lot of local authors as well. And आप मुझे realize हुआ कि अब जब आपने इतना बड़ा space खोल दिया है, तो आपको हिंदी का कलेक्शन तो रखना ही रखना है. आपको साथ साथ उत्तराखंड का कुमाऊनी और गढ़वाली कलेक्शन भी रखना ही रखना है. जो हमारी किताबें हैं, जौन सारी सब कुछ सारी कलेक्शन जितनी बोलियां हैं हमारे यहाँ. So nobody has done this detailing to the T in a contemporary book cafe. So that's a major differentiator, I feel. My question was that. So I feel that is a major differentiator. Although you have everything from Marvel to DC and whatever. So it's a very good palette, you know, and a plate, well-rounded plate. Let's call it that. Okay. My question which I forgot in the beginning. Maulyar का क्या मतलब है? Everybody would love to know. मौल्यार हाँ, शब्द ढूंढने में, कैफे का नाम ढूंढने में भी एक अलग जद्दोजहद हुई, एक अलग फाइट थी, because I started with something which was very English. Okay. And then I started with first or second names.
There was Sipson Pour. Okay. There was other one that I loved. It was called The Book Nook. Okay. The Book Nook I almost finalized जब मेरे को लगा कि हाँ Book Nook, Book Corner and everything. But उसके बाद धीरे धीरे मैं हिंदी पे आई. I started with a lot of वो ink and latte. There was that. मतलब थोड़ा सा वैसे. So many choices out there. And then I realized कि यार नहीं English नहीं रखना है. अब धीरे धीरे हिंदी की तरफ मैं आती हूँ. सभी रखते हैं. But it sounds exotic. हाँ. You know, people who don't know the meaning of the name, they will like, okay, this sounds like very exotic. It could be from any country, but the thing is that it is from Garhwali. It's a pahadi word. So I went with Hindi names, and then I realized यार हमारे पहाड़ी में तो है ना इतने बढ़िया शब्द. Let's start from there only. तो मौल्यार एक तो मौल्यार, the word is very attractive, I would say. Doesn't sound pahadi as well to most of the people. I said exotic. It sounds exotic. It could be from any language, but it is from pahadi. Yeah. So एक तो the word I liked very much, and then the second thing was the meaning. Okay. The meaning actually इसके 3-4 meaning निकलते हैं. जो है एक तो मौल्यार is basically spring season in Garhwali, blossoming of flowers. पहली fresh कोपलें खिलती हैं. Secondly, it also signifies new beginning, fresh beginnings, and it was a fresh beginning for me. Wow. It was a really fresh beginning for me. And the third thing, it also signifies healing. हमारे यहाँ कहते हैं मॉल रहा है. Okay. Wound ना जब heal कर रहा होता है, healing is also there. So the meaning was amazing, and that's
a great word, by the way, with multiple meanings.
with multiple meanings, plus it resonated with me a lot because it was a fresh beginning for me. It signifies a lot of things for me as well. तो जो है वो शब्द रेजोनेट कर गया,
awesome.
और शब्द रेजोनेट कर गया तो फिर मैंने कहा यही नाम रखना है, अब तो और कुछ नहीं करना.
Awesome. Okay, let's come to your favorite books, because that is very important. From the curator of Maulyar Book Cafe, everybody would love to know. और बताओ क्या पढ़ते हो, क्या अच्छा लग रहा है आजकल या पहले?
किताबें तो इतनी सारी हैं कि मैं बता नहीं सकती, फेवरेट मैं कोई किताबें कह नहीं सकती, बट हाँ, वी कैन स्टार्ट विद समथिंग दैट आई हैव विद मी राइट नाउ, एंड that are really good books and some really good writers that even if you start reading them right now you'll love it. तो देवदत्त पटनायक जी बहुत ही ज़बरदस्त माइथोलॉजी पे किताबें लिखते हैं, बहुत ही, ही इज़ अ प्रोलिफिक राइटर, ही राइट्स अमेजिंग. आई थिंक वैसे लोग उनकी देवलोक से स्टार्ट करते हैं या मिथ इज इक्वल टू मिथ्या से स्टार्ट करते हैं, वेरी फेमस बुक्स.
देवलोक से इसलिए करते हैं क्योंकि वो टीवी पे भी वो सब
ये था सारे टीवी वीवी पे था, लोग देखे भी थे लोगों ने,
तो उससे
एक कनेक्ट बन जाता है. बट आई स्टार्टेड विद हिज शिखंडी एंड द अदर क्वेयर टेल्स दे डोंट टेल यू अबाउट, एंड आई लव दैट बुक. And it was,
he writes about weird things. I actually had the good fortune of having him on the podcast. So he was talking about the book Dharma, where he talks about death. So that entire book is about death. Okay.
Yeah.
And I was like, sir, मतलब why? Why? मतलब मुझे पता है डिप्रेसिंग है, आफ्टर कोविड लोग पढ़ना नहीं चाहेंगे, बट आई वांटेड टू राइट अबाउट दिस. सो एंड इट इज रिटन वेरी ब्यूटीफुली. अंडररेटेड है थोड़ी,
अंडररेटेड है क्योंकि ये देवलोक मिथ इज इक्वल टू मिथ ये ज़्यादा चलती हैं उनकी,
डेफिनेटली.
और जो है लेकिन बहुत ज़बरदस्त लिखता है. उनकी कोई भी किताब उठा लो आप कोई भी किताब उठा लो, ही इज अ प्रोलिफिक राइटर. ही राइट्स अमेजिंग. हाँ, इट्स रियली गुड.
ओलंपस एंड ऑल ऑफ दोस.
तो मैंने ग्रीक माइथोलॉजी पहले पढ़ना शुरू करा, क्योंकि ग्रीक माइथोलॉजी में देयर आर सो मेनी गॉड्स, देयर आर सो मेनी स्टोरीज, एंड देन व्हेन यू रीड योर माइथोलॉजी यू realize that the mythology is very, very similar. The gods are
in Olympus. He established a close connect between the two mythologies. So that was pretty interesting for me. Cool. Let's move on to the next one.
The next one, I'll go with something that I started my Hindi journey from. And I used to read a lot of Hindi poems and शायरी and things like that. I used to write as well. But उसके बाद क्या हुआ, मैंने उपन्यास नहीं पढ़े थे कभी हिंदी की तरफ मेरा रुझान, और मैंने किताब ही उठाई. हालांकि मैं रिकमेंड नहीं करूंगी, मैं लाइट रीडिंग से रिकमेंड करूंगी. आई स्टार्टेड विद राग दरबारी.
आवर कम्युनिटी इज फुल ऑफ मैच्योर रीडर्स, सो दे विल.
हाँ, शीला शुक्ल की राग दरबारी. मैं ये कह रही हूँ कि अगर किसी को हिंदी स्टार्ट करनी है तो यू हैव to be very dedicated with the idea that you have to finish this book if you are starting it. Amazing book. मतलब जितनी तारीफ करो उतनी कम है इस किताब के बारे में. हाँ,
तो यही से ले लेना यार. जो देहरादून वाले हैं वो तो यहाँ से ले सकते हैं, बट इफ यू आर ड्रॉपिंग बाय आल्सो इन देहरादून, जो कि बहुत लोग आ रहे हैं आजकल, देहरादून मसूरी, जस्ट ड्रॉप बाय बसंत विहार, यू विल कम टू नो. सही है, बहुत बढ़िया. नेक्स्ट क्या है?
तो उसके बाद जो है अनदर हिंदी बुक आई सजेस्ट इज वयम रक्षामः बाय आचार्य चतुर्सेन. रावण की कहानी है. बहुत ही जबरदस्त तरीके से लिखी हुई है.
फ्रॉम द पर्सपेक्टिव ऑफ
रावण, हाँ, वो कैसे सबको साथ में लेकर आता है एक राक्षस अलग कम्युनिटी बनाने के लिए, समथिंग लाइक दैट. अमेजिंग बुक. यू कैन ऑलवेज. आचार्य चतुर्सेन की वैशाली की नगर वधू भी बहुत अच्छी किताब है, लेकिन उनकी वयम रक्षामः तो जरूर पढ़ना. बहुत ज़्यादा ही बढ़िया किताब है.
Your influences are pretty varied now because I see Yuval, so that's why. Very good.
Yuval Harari की, because see I read his Sapiens and then I उनकी Sapiens आई थी, मैंने हिंदी में रखी हुई भी थी. इनफैक्ट इट गॉट सोल्ड आउट. जो है हिंदी का अनुवाद था बट कैरिकेचरिश फॉर्म में थी. It was really good. It was also really good. I read that also. Sapiens I started reading Yuval Harari from, and 21 lessons for 21st century. It's like you can say Yuval Harari is that kind of author who everybody reads, but mention करना ज़रूरी है because he is an amazing author और वो अच्छा लिखते हैं. और उनको पढ़ना, अगर आप पढ़ना चाहते हैं तो he is that kind of author that you must.
That most people know about him, but actually that's not the case. Many people don't know.
हाँ हो सकता है
because we are in our own bubble, right? We
yeah
think that these books though everybody knows na,
हाँ
but that's why it is necessary to mention them again and again on the internet because लोगों को नहीं पता.
सेपियंस उनकी बहुत फेमस किताब है 21 लेसन्स फॉर 21st सेंचुरी बहुत अच्छी किताब है तो मैं सेपियंस इसलिए मेंशन नहीं करूँगी वो मोस्टली सबको पता होती है लेकिन ये
स्टार रेटिंग देते नहीं है पॉडकास्ट.
हाँ हाँ
तुम अपने आप फिगर आउट कर लो.
हाँ हाँ हाँ
Cool.
उसमें इसमें उनके हर किताब में वैसे भी लिखा होता है.
हाँ सेपियंस लिखते हैं तो सेल करना ही है. What do they call it? Upselling. What do they call upselling?
Yeah.
That's upselling for you.
एलिस इन क्वांटम लैंड रॉबर्ट गिलमोर की किताब है. ये मतलब साइंस वाले ना जिनको साइंस पसंद नहीं है फिजिक्स की किताब है और ये मैं सिर्फ इसलिए रख रहा हूँ. एलिस इन क्वांटम लैंड देयर इज वन मोर द विज़र्ड्स ऑफ वॉक्स
राइट अप देयर.
हाँ बहुत ही ज़बरदस्त किताबें हैं अगर आपको साइंस पढ़नी है तो मतलब आपको मज़ा आएगा पढ़ के.
Is it dumbed down or very complicated?
No, it's written in a way, I won't say it is dumbed down, but it is written in a very interesting manner and anybody would, I would suggest मतलब थोड़ा सा तो होता ही है जो भी है but you will मतलब it is written in a very interestingly intricate manner that you will love reading it.
नहीं हमारी कम्युनिटी बहुत इंटेलिजेंट है और उन्होंने इंटरस्टेलर भी देखी है सब पता है उन्हें.
हाँ
तो they will figure out and
so it's an amazing book.
Great. Thank you for the recommendations and I am so happy that we got you on the podcast.
Thanks so much.
This February we have had some amazing guests, but you are one of those because you are a change maker in Uttarakhand and Dehradun and even beyond. I wish you the best, that it goes everywhere across Uttarakhand and beyond. And we would love to keep coming here and talking to you. And guys, जब भी देहरादून मसूरी आना हो, just drop by. They have a beautiful cafe. अच्छा, end में before I end the podcast,
do mention that we serve amazing continental food
and
Indian menu as well because people are getting confused कि अच्छा हाँ यहाँ पे सब किताबें होती है.
have some packages ना that subscription is there. So we leave that in the comments and caption.
Of course.
We'll do that. तो सब्सक्रिप्शन भी है. जो लोग यहाँ रहते हैं, कोई किसी को अगर मूव होना है तो वसंत विहार में ही मूव हो जाओ देहरादून में. और पूछते रहते हैं लोग कि मूव हो जाएं क्या. तुमने कहा वसंत विहार में ही हो जाओ या डालर वाला हो जाओ, दो ही जगह. अब वसंत विहार में हो जाओ. Anyway, so thank you so much. Happy reading. And जब पॉडकास्ट लॉन्च होगा जाके कैप्शन में जाके सब चेकआउट कर लेना लिंक्स वगैरह. मौलियार बुक कैफे के इंस्टाग्राम पे आप लोग और किसी प्लेटफॉर्म पे हैं?
इंस्टाग्राम में है, फेसबुक पे भी हैं.
तो फॉलो कर लेना और बुकनर्ड्स को तो फॉलो कर ही लेना क्रॉस प्लेटफॉर्म्स. पॉडकास्ट हमारी वेबसाइट पे भी लॉन्च होगा podcast.booknerds.in. बहुत सारी चीज़ें उस वेबसाइट पे आ रही हैं. बाकी booknerds.in तो चेक कर ही लेना और पढ़ते रहो, मस्त रहो. ये रिकमेंडेशंस है, इनको अमेज़ॉन से ऑर्डर कर देना और बताना विदुषी को कि कैसी लगी, है ना, बुक्स. और बाकी क्या है, सब्सक्राइब बटन और घंटी बजानी. ठीक है. थैंक यू.